evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be. My name is Marva B. I am the CEO and founder of Black Link Magazine, and I'm so excited to have my special guest, Mr. Lawrence, is here with us. And I'm so excited to have you, Lawrence. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Black Link Magazine.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, this is exciting. I'm glad that we crossed paths and how we met was crazy. And look, and here we are today. So I love the power of networking. And
Yeah,
that's exactly how I met you. I was networking and so thank you again for saying
absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
So if you will, Lawrence, would you go ahead and just tell the world who you are and what you do?
Yes, so my name is Lawrence, and I am a branding and marketing photographer. In simple terms, what I do is I help people understand or entrepreneurs understand the importance of brand visibility, recognition, and which ultimately increases their revenue. And I do that through the power of quality photography. And so I've been doing photography for about 10 years now, but I've been a full-time photographer for 3 years. And the business has been running for 4 years.
Wow, wow. So tell me, how did you get into this type of business and branding? And I'm glad that we're talking because business owners, especially people that are just, trying to build a business or grow their business or start a business, do not understand the power of marketing and eye candy, I would say, from
Yes,
visuals, right?
yes.
How did you get into this business? And let's talk about how important it is for businesses.
Yeah, so I actually started off, I'm a PK, preacher's kid, for those who don't know. And so it honestly started off in the church, taking headshots for family members who were also in ministry. It was then I realized that that was something that I started like doing. Um, I stopped doing pictures for a moment just because the I didn't have the right equipment to really show what I was capable of. So I was like, I'm not picking up another camera until I can afford a better one.
Right.
And so after a while, I ended up investing in a new camera. Well, new for me, it was used,
Yeah.
and I started taking pictures from there. Now, ironically, I still did not know my niche was headshots and branding. I was just taking any work that came to me, which I know there are a lot of photographers who do that, and I actually teach against that now. So, like, no, do not take everything.
Yeah.
Learn the type of niche and that you want to do within your industry. And so from there, I realized that I was starting to stretch myself thin, taking weddings, real estate, birthday shoots, and no, not everyone was willing to pay me what. Not, I'm not even going to say what my worth was, but according to the quality of work that I presented.
Right.
And so from that, I had to really narrow down some things. I'm like, okay, so what is it that most clients are coming to me for? And when I started to review the work that I've had over the years, I've realized two things. Number one, they were mainly headshots. And number two, most of them were actually Black female entrepreneurs.
Of course. We love pictures of ourselves.
Yeah, so that's how I actually determined my specific target audience. Is I looked at the common work that I've done over the years,
Mhm.
and I came into peace with understanding like, hey, it's honest. The Black female entrepreneurs, they are attracted to my style of photography, therefore they want to book with me, and I don't think that's wrong or odd at all. I grew up. Around strong women. I am married, so I'll be married. We'll be married 9 years this year.
Like,
We have, thank you. We have a beautiful daughter who is 6. She'll be turning 7, and so and I even have a female miniature poodle. So I'm surrounded by powerful women all over. So for me to be connected to my target audience, it's not a coincidence.
right.
Um, Now, as far as why the eye candy, as you mentioned, is so important, one of the things that I've learned my research 60,000 times faster than written content.
Mm.
And so I always say that you can quickly secure a client before speaking with them. But if you don't have the right content, just as quick as you secure them is as quick it will be to drive them away
That's right.
before you even make contact with them. And your images and visual content, they're going to go places before you even set foot. Your visual content is what causes your name to be mentioned in rooms that you might not even enter in yourself, had it not been for the attraction of your images.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is one of the main reasons psychologically, having right images for your business, no matter what industry, is very crucial. Whether you're in the beginning, whether you're scaling, or whether you're in a point of rebranding, either way, no matter what part of the process you're in, you must learn the importance of investing in the right images, the right photographer. You might not be able to afford the thousands of dollars right now, but find you a good photographer that can get you some quality headshots. I'm just throwing that shameless plug out there, you know?
Yeah. So,
But,
yeah.
yeah.
Where are you located?
So I'm actually located in St. Louis. That's where our base is, but we do travel. So we do, I have a lot of clients in Atlanta. I have clients in North Carolina. I have clients, well, I'll be in Las Vegas this year. I do have clients in Houston. So like we definitely do travel. But the funny thing is everybody said, well, just let me know when you're going to be coming to my city. Well, the truth is there is no set schedule. You just have to book me.
Right.
You know, that's as soon as you book me, I'm coming to your city.
St. Louis is not far from me. So
Yeah, see,
I have to
yeah,
check it out. Check
yeah,
it. Yeah.
definitely.
So tell me, when we talk about a photographer and building your business in photography, and you're saying that you're solely doing that now, how
Mhm.
difficult was it to walk away from what you knew was stability, like going to a 9 to 5, opposed to walking away from that and stepping into a photography business, right? Help us understand.
Whew, it was a scary process.
Yeah.
It was a very scary process, and it was scary because I was not in this by myself. You know, if it was just me, I probably will still have the anxiety, but not as much because, I didn't have a lot to consider. But for myself, we bought a house. We have a car note. I have a child. I'm married, and so every decision that that was made ultimately would impact everything around us.
Right.
So I literally went through a grieving process. And, I did not leave my job. I left my job voluntarily, but technically I didn't. It was like the only choice they gave me was severance pay.
Okay. Got
So,
it.
yeah,
Been there,
so
done
it
that.
was like, and if I
Been there,
would
done
have taken any other options, it still could have resulted to a not so happy ending. So, I ended up leaving the 9 to 5, but uh, I felt the grievance up to the point where I literally signed the papers of separation. Once I signed those papers, I felt a sense of relief.
that. Okay.
Peace came over, like everything is going to be all right. And me, I have dreams that kind of warn me about certain things, and so I had a very insightful dream that prepared me for this before the process actually started. So before there was any conversations with HR and everything, I literally had a dream about um, pretty much me trusting God. And so I didn't want to accept the dream for what it was because that means that I will not be in this job long. And I'm like, no, I know what God's trying to tell me, And then after a
Yeah.
while,
I love
it's
it.
like, okay, now I really know what he's trying to tell me. And so I went through the denial, I went through the anger, I went through the sadness, I went through all of that before I signed those papers of separations. Once that happened, everything balanced itself out internally, and I was just like, okay, this is going to be good. And even then, I I I, I had a good first year just because I was excited about being in it as a full-time photographer.
Right.
But then there were some things that I had to really endure on that level
I was
as a full-time entrepreneur.
right.
That was like, God, you didn't tell me this part now.
Yeah.
But he did tell me in the dream. And that's the whole thing is I've had to recall the dream multiple times. It's just like, okay, this is it may not look like it right now,
Right.
but if you keep
Right.
going, you just keep going. Don't worry about what's happening to the left. Don't worry about what's happening to the right. Just stay focused.
Right. So here's my question.
Yes.
The peaks and the valleys. And I'm talking, and I'm not, and it's not just for what you do, it's for
Mm-hmm. Oh
any
yeah.
business owner, any entrepreneur, any small business trying to start and run a business. Let's talk about some of those peaks and valleys that you had to endure and how you made it through. And what did you learn in those valleys?
So one of the things that I'm actually doing now is from the result of my first 3 years of doing business as a full-time entrepreneur. And I am literally doing a course for photographers on how to start a photography career. But not surprisingly, but the thing is the course itself is not nearly as much as about the camera and the lens as it is about the mindset
Oh, come on.
Of an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I was the one that preached about starting business about with your using your passion. I had my own acronym and everything, PPP. But no, it wasn't. See, I took away the payment or paycheck protection program and I replaced it with people pay for passion. So that was my acronym, right?
I like it.
I liked it too, but then I've learned that it won't sustain you.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Because passion, although it's a good place of inspiration, it's still coming from an emotional place.
Okay.
And when you are running a business, there are times where you cannot be emotional.
No, right.
You have to be
Tell me more.
or strategic, right?
Right.
You got to get out of your feelings. Your mama, your daddy's not supporting you, your friends not supporting you.
Lord.
You got to literally get out of your feelings because what you're doing is you're actually creating damage with the relationships that you have because of the uncontrollable emotional response or reactions. Okay. And so I had to not throw the passion away, but I had to put it in the right place.
Right. I get that.
And when time for conversations, I had to put the entrepreneur hat on.
Yeah.
And say, okay, this is what I have to do, or this is what I'm not going to do.
Can I stop you right there?
Yes.
Keep your thought. Because I compare that to people in business and who don't support you. We all probably go through that, right? But what about your feelings about giving your stuff away and not being paid what you're worth and scared that if I don't, I'm gonna lose them, right? Do you see that in that scenario with like put your entrepreneurial, take your feelings out of it and remember what you're here for, what your focus is, right? So yes. I like that. And that's what it made me think of. Like
that you're spot on. That's a part of that process because, and I'm going to share this and I don't want to go too deep in the weeds of this because it's a whole nother conversation about pricing. There are several ways that you actually price a service. And what I hear most talked about is pricing what you are worth. And I say absolutely not.
Okay.
Because pricing what you are worth is again, it's emotional. So that means when people reject your pricing, you take it to heart. And you think they're rejecting you. But they're not rejecting you. What you're failing to realize, number one, is that they are not your client. They're not your customer. But because of the emotional attachment to the strategy, we automatically become defensive. And we'll say, no, I'm not going to do this. And the thing is, you might not actually sat down and thought about what your pricing is. And is there really value in what you're providing? Because it's all about work.
So, oh, I could talk to you forever about this. Okay, go ahead.
So I say that you determine how much, because the thing is, I'm sorry, Jaden, we're gonna block that out.
Yeah.
We're
gonna edit that on out of there.
Okay.
It's
So
good. You need to talk to him?
no, she knows I'm.
Oh, she is a
knows
she. I'm sorry. Okay.
You know, it's okay. She knows I'm doing this, and then
Okay.
she comes in when I'm doing this.
I got kids. I know. I'm like, they're at the door. Like, I'm like,
right. Give me 1 second, Jaden. Go back.
The whole time I'm not on the interview, they don't have nothing to say to me.
Nothing.
As soon as I come in this office, Mom, hey, Mom.
Right.
We get to edit this part out. Let's pause for a minute so we can edit it right.
All right. All right. So one thing that I always look at is, when you're talking about becoming a full-time entrepreneur, one thing you don't think about is you have two lifestyles you have to support. You have to support your home and you have to support the business.
Right.
And a lot of times we don't think about that. And we think I could just all be one. I can pull funds when I need to and all of that stuff. So when it's time for paying expenses for the business, you realize you come short. Or if you're using money for personal use, you realize you don't have money to actually grow your business.
Okay. So let me keep that thought because I had to ask you what I'm thinking. So when you say that, and you're right, like you're right. Like, but I think that when people are afraid to lose their job, leave their job, and they're like, just take that plunge, just leave it. But I think that's the consideration, that if I leave this job, like that check is providing means for me to continue working my business. But do you think that's the wrong attitude to have? Like, if, like I'm not going to leave because that finances the business that I'm trying to grow. Like,
yes. And in fact, I think it's more riskier to work a 9 to 5 than it is to be an entrepreneur.
You do?
I do. Because let's face it, they can let you go any day, and all of a sudden you have no checks. But with the business, you can pivot, you can evolve, you can shift, you can find new streams of income. You can always do something when it comes to entrepreneurship. But with a 9 to 5, your Social Security is all tied up, your retirement, your investment, all of that is tied up. Your insurance is all tied up within that 9 to 5. When they let you go, all of that is gone. Except, a 401k, that's available, but then you're penalized if you are taking money out of it. Right?
That's right.
So it to me, the risk is higher as a 9 to 5.
I should have came to St. Louis and went to the studio and did this interview with you. I didn't know you were close to me.
Where are you?
I'm in Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my people are in Kansas City, Kansas, like up the road. It's not far.
Yeah.
We got off track. I digress. I'm sorry. But it's just this, listen, and let me pause for a minute. The reason that I love having this conversation is because, for one, I'm a business owner, and it's really teaching me a lot. Like, you're opening my eyes to some things that I didn't think about, right? And so I can't wait to get this interview out for people, because our whole intention is God first and to help other people. Like, we want to help people genuinely. And a lot of people don't have, like, they have these big dreams and aspirations of running a business, but it's something about that 9 to 5 that they can't let go of. So I love your perspective. No one ever brought it to me like that, right? 9 to 5 is probably more riskier, and it's so true. I'm telling you, 16 years at a company, and they say, okay, it's time, your number's here, you're laid off, right? And it's like, what am I supposed to do now? 16 years, and some people had 20 years, 30 years, and you just
and
even though they gave you a severance, it's not like a steady paycheck coming, all the time, and that's what you rely on. So I love your perspective in saying that. What else can you give us?
And not only that, let's talk about the unspeakable, which is death. When, because we're not on this earth forever, we just don't know our time. But if it happens to happen while you're on the job, your family's not even secure, because the life insurance policy that you have, you're probably only going to get a portion from that just to cover 2% of your whole funeral arrangement. So it doesn't really serve that good of a purpose. Now, I will say this: I'm not against 9 to 5, because there are people who are created for that type of work environment.
Yeah.
And face it, us who are building businesses, we eventually want to hire 9 to 5 workers. So I'm not. I believe there's a balance, but I also believe in paying attention um, to what's tugging you. If you feel like there is just something more, and I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
Let's
If
pause
you
for a second, just for a second. Anytime we do that to edit, we just pause just so it's easier.
if you feel any tug or pulling, it's like there's so much more than what I'm doing now, then I think you need to explore.
I
You know.
Yeah, I get that because I feel the same way because I feel I'm spiritual. I believe in God. And
Mhm,
I believe he gives us signs. And if
mhm,
that thing keeps tugging at you, I think and a preacher said this. They said that's a sign from God. He shows up in different kind of ways. And if you really have a
mhm,
relationship from him, you'll know it's him. And if that thing keeps tugging you, I think you have to be obedient to his word. And we say we have faith, but we
mhm,
get scared of that tug.
mhm. And you know why? Because faith is not the opposite of fear, which is why we can be fearful and still have faith.
But
Whenever people, so people, like, I always have conversations about this, because the people that I deal with, they're fearful of stepping out and starting their own business.
yeah.
And I explained to them, I said, the reason why you're fearful is because you don't have the true understanding of God's love.
Oh,
It's perfect love that casts out fear.
yeah.
You know, and understanding that God's love will not lead you into a trap. God's love will not ensnare you. It won't cause you to, or your feet to trip, your foot to trip. You know what I'm saying? So
I believe it.
guide us through our journey. It doesn't mean that there won't be any struggles, right? It
Right.
just means that in the midst of our trials and our hardship, we still have a hand that's guiding us, that gives us peace when we're dealing with frustration, when we're dealing with confusion. It's like God still is there, covering, protecting, and guiding us. And I believe, yeah, I listen. I don't mean to turn this into this. I believe that, for me, I had to look into Daniel,
Mm.
because a lot of us who are believers, we go into entrepreneurship very limited with our mindset, and who we connect with, who we partner with, collaborate with, and even who we serve, right? And I look at Daniel, because Daniel, he actually had to learn of the land that he was held captive in.
Yes.
You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? Like, he had
Yes.
to learn the Babylonian system.
Yes. Yes.
And I began to pray and ask God, Father, give me the wisdom and
Yeah.
the revelation that has not been released for my industry,
Oh.
for my business. Because God has, I think about the scripture that I was just, I'm a worship leader too, by the way. So I remember I was looking at scripture, because I always look at scripture before I
Uh-huh.
worship, just to
Uh-huh.
kind of myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was talking about the river of fire,
Uh-huh.
and flown from the throne and down, and then there was an open book. And I'm like, see, God, we want those books to be open. Those books, it represents the revelation, it represents the knowledge, right? And
Yeah.
the wisdom. And that's what we need as entrepreneurs. We just simply need wisdom. And wisdom can come by you reading books
Yes.
and educating yourself.
Yeah.
It can, like, God can highlight certain things as you're reading a secular book, like,
Yeah.
a secular book, an informative book about the industry that you're studying about, and he will show you insight and give you blueprints on how to build this thing so that even though it may look like someone else is on the outside, on the inside, the wiring is so different, and so that's the thing that I look for as I'm running a business and growing and scaling, and but again, if I don't understand the love of God, then though no matter how much revelation I receive, no matter how much knowledge and wisdom I receive, well, it won't be true wisdom, because true wisdom starts with God, and God is love.
That's right.
And so that means that we have to, let me pause again. So that means that we have to understand, take time to understand the intent of God's love and his love for us as individuals. Once we embrace that revelation, the fear is gone. You know what I'm saying? Because all your hope and your trust is built in God, not
Yeah.
in the world system or the world economics or
Yeah.
economy.
And I truly believe that because I do know his love and I do have faith. And I believe that that's why I am where I am today,
Mm-hmm.
because I believed it. And even when people, I had someone to tell me that magazines were ancient. Why are you still doing that? People don't. And my magazine took off like a whirlwind. And it was
Mm-hmm.
because I stepped out on faith and I believed and I trusted God and I put in for, I didn't put this stuff before him. And I tapped into him before I made moves. And I really believe that. Some people
Yeah.
don't believe that. We're not putting our religion or out on people. I'm just saying that's how I function. And I believe that that's how we are successful. That's how we get where we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
We have to really know that and have
Yeah.
that of his love.
Yes, and then and understanding God's love for you translate to recognizing the love you have for yourself.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And
Like
all that ties into being
all
a
that.
successful entrepreneur. I
Yes,
believe
yes,
that. Yeah.
yes, yeah.
It
So,
and before you say that, we're really,
mhm,
and then I also believe that's what helps us get through those valleys, right?
yes,
And in those valleys, what are we doing? We're learning something. He's showing us something, right?
mhm,
Well, we
yes,
should be looking for what we can learn from it. And that's
yeah,
why we have to go through the valleys. That's when you said it's not always easy. It ain't gonna be smooth sailing the whole time.
mhm.
You get through it.
But the benefits of being a believer is that there's a scripture that says in Amos that God will not do a thing until He first reveal it to His servants, the prophets, right?
Yeah.
Now, I understand that everyone is not called into the gift of a prophet, but the way that I really understand that is that He will also give us warning. He will give us insight before the valley even comes. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
Yeah.
God, you are in God. If you are walking in union in communion with God, then He's going to, if we pay close attention, like you mentioned, God gives us signs, right? Miracle signs and wonders shall follow them that believe. So that
Yeah.
means that God will give us signs before we even approach the valley, so that we can prepare, because He's done that throughout the Bible, throughout Old Testament. He did that with Joseph, um, when he prophesied about I think it was 13 years of famine or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
He did that with, I think, King Nebuchadnezzar with Daniel.
Uh-huh.
Like that, God warns us about things before it actually takes place. And if He does not warn us directly, He will show us signs, whether God may send somebody to you, and it may not be a something from fear, like, it's about to be this and this. No, they may give you an idea and the idea will actually protect you from the what is it, the depression,
Mm-hmm.
the economic depression. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow.
give you ideas that will cause money to come in, so that when the world is in frantic and they're panicking about stocks being going down and banks closing,
And
and oh,
COVID.
you're in the arms of God, just like, God, thank you for protecting me during this
Yeah.
time, and being the head and not the tail, being the lender
Right.
and not the borrower in these hard times, while
Yeah.
you're, so that's what I truly believe.
Love it. So when I think about photography and a business, how it feels like to me, and I guess it's just not my thing, but it seemed like it would be kind of difficult to build clientele. How difficult for you was, because now you're 3 years in, 3, 4 years in,
Mhm.
whatever, and you're traveling to do photography. And the thing
Mhm.
about that is there's photographers all over the place, but
Every-
they're calling you. Let's talk about that.
So I think you have to, number one, recognize um, the gift that you have,
Yeah.
you know, uh, because one thing I did not do, which is probably something that um, coaches would not recommend, I did not look at other photographers.
Mm,
Didn't do that more so because of my own insecurities, because
yeah.
I knew if I looked at that work, I would be like, well, there's no point in me doing this.
Right.
Their work is good. Their work is superb. There's no point in me picking up a camera. There's a many great photographers around me and in these areas and everything. And so, but I had to recognize, number one, what was so special about what I did.
Right.
Um, and then I had to make sure I communicate that to my clients, because there are a group of people who will connect to what causes me to stand out as a photographer.
Right.
One of those things, I'm one thing I am glad about Clubhouse is giving me the opportunity to really receive feedback from individuals that I've never even met before, but they
Yeah.
see my on Instagram, and one of the ladies said, it's amazing that you capture the strength of a woman without her even looking at the camera.
My gosh.
And
Wow.
I'm like, okay, all right,
Uh-huh.
I can take that. But listening to those feedbacks about what people are seeing when they're looking at images, that becomes ammunition for me when it comes to marketing and really using talking points for me to stand out. And oftentimes too, the work itself does the talking for me, which is,
Absolutely.
again, I talk about visual content and why they are so important for any business. And so for me, there's two sides that I really have to figure out. Number one, of course, I have those that were out of state that I've been working with to do pictures for. But then being a father and a husband, and we have bills, uh, I had to understand what I had to do locally as well as a
Oh, yeah.
photographer. And so that's when I started incorporating more of headshots, for more so for those who are local,
Yeah.
and understanding the comfortable price range that everyone in this area
Yeah.
are comfortable with. And I'm like, okay, I can work with this. And so far, it's been I've been more busy locally than I have
That's good.
outside, which is great because that's what I want. I want to be able to support those who are local and build with those that are local, as well as build with those out of state.
Yeah. So what do you see? What's coming in the next 5 years? What are you expecting, or what are you looking forward to for your business?
It's so interesting you said 5 years. So someone gave me some advice, and they said, don't build up, build out.
Mm,
Like, okay, what does that look like? And so that looks like me almost in a way of franchising,
mm,
having photographers in different major cities, um, and having just different resources like videographers, makeup artists, stylists, um, just personal assistants, like having them in all the major cities that I work in, so that number one, I don't have to worry as much about these expenses, because it wouldn't be as expensive working with someone in their own city.
right.
Uh, and so that's where I see chapter 8. I also see, obviously, like I've started training photographers. So like with this, it's a 12-week course on how to jumpstart your photography career.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at becoming more of a business expert versus photographer.
Right.
Photographer is there, and it's what I'm doing. It's what I still love to do. But I'm finding myself talking even now more with individuals about building their business, and
Yeah.
that's what doing like actually strategy sessions for their business plan, their capability statements, their marketing plan, and so we are really becoming brand experts.
Yeah.
Uh, Something that I see myself being positioned as while I'm hiring photographers to do the work.
Wow.
Uh, that's one side, and then the other side is I recently founded a new community called the PowHER House
Hmm.
um, in branding, and Power is spelled POWHER. So it's a
Love that.
community that celebrates and supports women in business.
That's
Uh,
nice.
since that is my target audience anyway for photography, that's our niche. So with this community in 5 years, because I actually just created a 5 year plan for the community. Right now, we're going to be doing virtual meetups, monthly virtual meetups. Some might even be metaverse.
Uh-huh.
Uh, because we do have a metaverse world that we have access to that is very easy and it's free. You literally click on the link and you're in there. Like it's that simple. So I thought that would be some a cool experience for the community to kind of look
Yeah.
at and talk to and all that good stuff. But then we're also having in-person networking events in different cities. So we originally was supposed to be in Atlanta, but we had to put a halt to those plans. And so St. Louis is our first launch here on the 22nd of this month. And
Okay.
then in North Carolina in July, along with Atlanta. We're looking at Atlanta again in July. And then September, we are looking at Los Angeles.
Okay.
We also have other cities that are inquiring about this and or provide helping us with resources. So I know connections in Phoenix, Arizona. We've even had someone in South Africa asking us to bring PowHER House to there. So what we're doing from there is we're at this point is we're taking time to research what do women in business need.
Yeah.
What do you are lacking in regarding resources, monetary resources, like information, like what is it that you guys are needing?
Yeah.
Once we get all that information, we can start building programs that will meet those direct needs. Eventually, what we're trying to do by the end of the second year of PowHER House is we want to establish PowHER House hubs in every state.
Okay.
So that's 50.
Yeah.
So listening. I
Yeah.
need you to pull your state in, okay? And so we're doing that. The hub is supposed to be a resource center for women in business, and honestly, men as well, because we do have men in the community as well who actually
Oh yeah.
enjoy supporting women as well, but they're tapping into the resources themselves.
Right.
Um, so that's our hope. We want that hub to be positioned, a hub to be in every state. What that's going to look like is with this hub eventually we're going to be able to provide sponsorship and scholarships to individuals who wants to start business or getting into college, possibly being able to provide scholarships for young women in business. So we want to be not just resourceful with information and resources, but we also want to be a resource for monetary support.
Right. Right.
Uh, and so that's what we're looking at starting the second year or end of the second year of PowHER House. And by the fifth year, we're hoping to have touch grounds internationally and have global presence with PowHER House, functioning global presence, not just, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we connected to them, but we
Right.
want to, oh, we're going to be in South Africa
Yeah.
this month to do an
Right.
in-person band. And so and the whole purpose is to not just is to build the support, but it's also to recognize the powerhouses locally, because a lot of times what I found, especially on Clubhouse, is that we will spend a lot of time talking and meeting with people outside of our own city and not realize there are amazing connections already close to us.
Yeah, because
You know,
that
just, we're
it's
close. We're technically actually close. You know, and not saying that you cannot connect with them, but it's just the idea is like once we leave your city, we want you to keep building, keep collaborating, keep partnering, working
right.
on big projects in the area so that everybody's name is known and not just one person. We do have a Discord group. And one thing I love about the Discord group, it gives you opportunity to network anytime. So let's say if you are in New York and you're going to Los Angeles, you can actually say, "Hey, who's in Los Angeles? I'm looking for this." And you can build that connection, that network right there on the spot. It is one thing I do love about Discord, and I think this is very important, especially for women. It is monitored and protected.
Oh,
So we don't allow spam or scammers to come in to Discord. Everyone that comes into Discord are authentic for real. So we don't use so that you don't feel like, oh well, we don't have no Bitcoin people.
right. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Bitcoin people in there or what they would call themselves as investment or financial
Yeah.
advisors. No, no, no. We have legit business owners and entrepreneurs that are part of the community. So, and I think right now we're about 65 strong,
Oh,
which I
good.
think is great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll be in Los Angeles in September, so I don't know when, but you guys
Hmm.
will we may be connecting there as well. But I
Yeah,
really want to stay in close contact so that I can follow you guys and support where I can support and be a part of as well. How can
absolutely.
people how can people reach you on all social media sites or book you for a session?
Absolutely, that's a good question. So my own name is a domain. So LawrenceSalley.com, and that's Sally with an E, Salley. That is actually my digital card. So anything you need from there, headshots, branding, powerhouse, can be found literally on there. I've wrote a few books that you can also find on there. I have a few blogs you can find on that link. My business link is chapter8studio.com. That's where you can learn about our basic photography services. And if you're interested in building an actual marketing plan that includes photography, we have 30 days to 5 year plans available, starting at, I think I have 16 or 1700, I'm not sure. But it's designed to actually give you a far stretch plan for your images and not just, oh, I want to take pictures. And then we also have non-photography services like the strategy kit, where we write the capability statement. We will actually write your business plan. We will write your marketing plan as well. And then we have partnered with consultants that specialize in different areas. So whether you are looking to legally protect your brand, we have a celebrity trademark attorney. We have a business assessment consultant. We have someone that focuses on website and branding, social media and digital assets, and then we also have one that is for public relations.
Okay.
Of course, we do have a virtual stylist. So, like, we have a full team um,
Wow.
to serve and to help build your business from ground up.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here. You guys go out and follow him. Go check out his website. It is lawrencesalley.com and you'll
Lawrence,
find, yeah, you'll find, and that's SALLEY.com. You'll find some good information out there. He'll also be in our Juneteenth edition that's dropping June the 1st. So you can check out a little bit about him in that magazine. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time and everything that you do for women. Like, that's amazing. And I can't wait to connect. And we will be following you, and we do support you over here. Um, Before I go, where did Chapter 8 Studio come from?
yes. So the number eight, I don't know why I've always been drawn to the number eight, but it actually has it's like a two-side definition. So eight also, one side it means new beginnings and creation. The other side it also means destruction,
Oh,
because in order to create something, you have to first destroy.
mhm.
And the reason why I believe that number is given to me is because I'm in the business of really helping people create. We create image, we create vision, we create mission, and I believe that we create inspiration because everyone that walks out of our studio, they literally walk out a completely different person. They see what people see in them when they see their images on the screen.
Right.
They themselves as they should see them,
Mm.
as the professional, as the entrepreneur,
Oh.
not a hobby, someone who just started a hobby. And
Right.
so that's where the number 8 comes from. And a lot of times when we talk about creating something new or getting into something new, many of us realize that you cannot start something new without making noise. Sometimes we try to be subtle,
Yeah.
we try to be quiet, and they say don't tell everybody your business, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But when something new comes into the scene, that means that the new means no reference of anything that is old or already created, right? So that means in order to really start something new, there has to be a process of destroying.
Mm.
That means if you're trying to walk into a new season as an entrepreneur, you have to look at what are some things you have to first destroy so that you can walk clear. And many of us, we're trying to build on a faulty foundation. We're trying to build on something that's already there. But it was like, no, you're supposed to get rid of this piece and rebuild so that it's stable and you can go higher. So 8 is a new beginning and creations.
Okay. Well, thank you again. As I said, we support you over here. Appreciate you being here and all the gems that you dropped tonight. Can't wait to get this edited and sent out across the world for the world to see. And I'm sure that there's somebody that this video is going to touch them, and maybe the light will come on and they'll want to step out on faith and really step into what really what really makes them happy. Their space. So again, thank you. You guys, we're going to go for now, but remember, respect yourself, respect each other.
Tell me why you're crying, how can it be you? When you gave me something I don't really feel, but you knew that already. When I found you on the ground, you were dying.